Community helpers are special people. We have learned about a community helper that reads, they study God's word, they give messages to people. That community helper is a pastor. We've learned about a community helper that will go to danger, that they have to have an air tank on their back so that they can breathe when they're fighting fires. They are firefighters. Good. Well, I want you to look right here at this board. It says, police officers keep our community safe. Here we have a police officer, and maybe he has a dog with him. They don't always have to have their canine dog with them, but this one does. And I like police officers. You might think, Mrs. Turner, why do you like police officers? Well, God put them there in authority, so we should respect them. We should like them. But I have someone special in my family that was a police officer for a very, very long time. Mr. Turner's brother was a police officer for over 22 years. Now, he's not a police officer anymore. He retired. But in just a minute, I'm going to show you something special that Mr. Turner's brother let my boys have to help them remember that police officers, they're friendly, they are helpful, they are here for us. Let's look at our card. If you look here on our card, I can see police officers. I see a man and I see a woman. You see, a police officer can be a man or a police officer can be a woman. And they have a big job to do. They help people obey the laws. You might think, oh, I have seen them helping people obey the laws. They are there. You know, police officers, they are friendly. And if you obey the laws, there's nothing for you to worry about. You see, police officers have a job to do. They take an oath. They will protect our community. They will help to keep our community safe. So these police officers, they have great big jobs to do. You don't have to be afraid of police officers. They are not scary people. They are people that are there to help you, people that are there to protect you. So you don't have to be afraid of police officers. Do you know who should be fearful of police officers? People who are doing wrong, people who are making bad choices and they're speeding or they're taking things from places that don't belong to them. If you're doing wrong, then maybe you might want to fear the police officers, but they're our friends. There's nothing to fear. Now, the police officer wants to help you. He wants to be there for you. How do you get a hold of that police officer? Well, you dial 911, but it must be an emergency. Because if it's not and you're playing on the phone, chances are that police officer is going to come to your house and they're going to talk to you about the importance of not playing. And if they're there at your house thinking it's an emergency, they're not able to help someone else that really does have an emergency. You know, police officers are there to help us. They're there when we have an emergency, but they don't need to be there when we're playing because they don't get to help the people who really need help. A police officer wears a uniform. That uniform has a badge on it. That badge says, I'm a police officer. Now, I told you I was going to show you something so special that Mr. Turner's brother gave my boys. One summer, we got to visit with them. They don't live in the same state as us, and we don't get to see them very often. But my boys thought, when I grow up, I want to be a police officer. Well, they were your age. They were little. They've changed their mind a little bit. They still respect police officers. But their Uncle Pete said, I want you to have something so special. So Uncle Pete took his badges that he didn't use, these special patches. This says police officer. This is a special badge. And not only did he put it on the front of this shirt for my little boy, now these are his old patches. He wasn't using them, but he wanted them to go to someone special. Look here on the side. It says police, Farmers Branch. He was in Texas. He was a police officer in Texas. And so you can see that these are two badges. When you see a badge on a police officer, it's telling you, I'm a police officer. You don't have to be afraid of me. I'm here to help you. So whenever I see this shirt, it helps me remember to pray for police officers because they have a great big job to do. And maybe you don't have to necessarily see this shirt. Maybe as you're driving in your car, you hear the sirens. You can think, oh, I'm going to pray for him. Maybe he's going to go help somebody that really needs help. Maybe he's going to a car accident, or maybe he's going to take somebody to the hospital. You never know. Sometimes police officers, they have to go fast to get to a house to help people. Now, those people will be transported in an ambulance, but police officers are still there. They communicate with people. They have a radio here, and they can just talk to other police officers on the radio. Inside of their car, they have a computer, and that computer will tell them where to go because you've called in with an emergency. You've given them your name and your address and your phone number, and they're going to help you. Emergencies like, Mom, she just won't wake up. Maybe she fell on the floor and she's not getting up, and Dad's at work. That's an emergency. Or maybe the house is on fire. That's an emergency. Or maybe there's an accident and Mom says, go call. You see, we're only going to call when there is an emergency. If you're out shopping and you get lost from Mom or Dad, who are you going to go to? A police officer. Find a police officer. They're going to help you get back with your mom and dad. Not all, but some police officers have a dog. And that dog is usually a German Shepherd. That's the type of dog. And that dog is taught to listen. That dog is trained to obey and to follow directions. That dog is not told to stop like this. Stop. Come. Go. Do you know that the police officers don't use the same language that we speak here at the academy? They use a different language when they communicate to their dog. Because what if the dog was going after a bad guy and the bad guy said stop? The dog would listen because it's been trained to listen and follow orders. Well, they usually speak to that dog in German. Now, I cannot speak German, but the police officers will speak to their dog in German, and they will tell that dog to go after somebody that's running when they should have stopped. That dog follows the commands. You know that dog is considered a police officer? Sometimes you'll see a badge on the collar of that police dog. It's a police officer. That dog is important. That dog listens. That dog follows the directions of that police officer. That dog will respond to the police officer in a different language. Usually it's German. That police officer, oh, he's got such a big job to do. Do you know that police officers like when moms and dads and grandmas and grandpas and aunts and uncles obey the laws? It makes their job easier. If everybody got on the road and they went above the speed limit, it's going to make the police officer's job hard. He'll have to pull them over and say, oh, you have to remember that you don't speed. And sometimes the police officer will even give them a special paper. It's called a ticket to help them remember that they need to follow the rules, the laws that we have. Police officers have a job to do. Their job isn't to be unkind. Their job is to help people, and sometimes that help is not the help we want. Moms and dads are going to help you listen. They're going to help you obey. Why? Because they want you to do right. And police officers, they want you to do right. A police officer has to be worthy to wear that badge. That badge means I'm an authority. That badge means I am a police officer. That badge means you need to respect me because I've got a job to do. And so that badge is so important. You have to work hard to be a police officer. You have to go to special schools, and you have to train, and you have to learn the laws. Being a police officer is a big job, and we can pray for those police officers. On our paper today, it says police officers help keep our community safe by making sure we obey the laws. Look at this police officer. You can see he's got his badges and patches. This is a canine. It's a dog that he's working with. They get to name him. That dog gets to live with him at his house, and the dog works with him. They become friends because they work together as a team. That dog has to listen. When you get your paper, I want you to color the picture. Some German Shepherds can be black, some can be brown. You get to color that dog the color you would like, but I've never seen a green or a purple. I've not seen that type of colored dog. So color it the way you would see it. Police uniforms. Now, I grew up in Maryland, and the police officers in Maryland, they wore blue uniforms. But the police officers here where we live, they wear green uniforms. So you color the uniform of the police officer where you live. Students in our classroom, we're going to color it green, but students watching, maybe yours is black. Maybe it's a dark blue. Color it the way you would see police officers in your area. We'll talk about the back in just a second, but Mrs. Turner has already colored a picture for you that I thought maybe you would want to see. I colored it green. I remember to stay inside the lines. I took my time. I colored in one direction, up and down or side to side, and that's exactly what I want you to do. Now, as you're coloring, I'm going to be talking and I'm going to be reading poems to you about the police officer. You know, when I think of police officers, I think of traffic lights. So you could say it after me. Stop, says the red light.
Stop, says the red light.
Go, says the green.
Go, says the green.
Wait, says the yellow light.
Wait, says the yellow light.
Blinking in between.
Blinking in between.
Class, stand. You can quietly go behind your chairs. And then once you're there, show me a smile. Good. Quietly turn your chairs. You may take out your crayon box while you're waiting. Put it on your house, on your name tag. You're going to take your paper and pass it quickly. We don't want to waste any of our wonderful coloring time that we have. As you're passing the papers, listen to this poem called Stop, Look, and Listen. So let's go ahead and try it. Stop, look, and listen. Say it after me. Stop,
Look and listen.
Good. I'm going to say it again, and then you say it after me. Stop, look, and listen.
Stop, look and listen.
Stop, look, and listen when you cross the street.
Stop, look and listen when you cross the street.
First, use your eyes.
First, use your eyes.
Then use your ears.
Then use your ears.
And then use your feet.
Then use your feet.
Good. Go ahead and turn your paper to the back. I want us to look at the back together. If you look at the back, it says, I will obey these safety rules. They're going to keep you safe. Look at number 1. Put your finger on number 1 on your paper. Number 1 says, when you go shopping, stay close to your parents. Do not wander away from them. Stay right next to the cart. Hold their hand. It's going to keep you safe. But if you get lost, who are you going to talk to? A police officer. Go to number 2. When you are outside playing, you should stay in your own yard unless you have permission to go to a friend's house that says stay in your own yard when you play outside. Mom, Dad, your family, they're going to know exactly where you are. So stay in your own yard when you go outside. Go to number 3. What should be the first thing you do when you get in your car? You need to put on your seatbelt. Number 3 says always wear a seatbelt when riding in a car. You need to do it. It's the law, so just get in that habit. Look at number 4. It says learn when and how to call 911. That's a good thing to talk to mom and dad about. Talk to your family about the importance of 911 and when you need to call it. They'll teach you how. Practice saying your name. They're going to say 911, what is your emergency? You're going to say, hi, this is Mrs. Turner and I live at, and give your address. Now, you wouldn't say Mrs. Turner. I'm just telling you what I would say. And I would give my address and my phone number, and then I would tell them this is the emergency. So talk about it with your family. Let's go to number 5. Never talk to a stranger alone. Someone might say, hey, you're playing in your yard. Hey, come here. Look at my car. Look at this candy. Look at this puppy. Look at this ice cream. Should you go over? No, never talk to a stranger and never get into a car with a stranger. It is not safe. Look at number 6. Maybe mom had to step out of the room and you hear this at the door and you look and you just don't know who it is. Do you open the door and let them in? No. Number 6 says, never open the door to someone you do not know. Be safe. If you don't know who it is, do not open the door. What if you look out the window and it's Daddy? Do you open the door for Daddy? Yes, because you know it's your daddy. But if it's someone you don't know, don't open the door. Now take your paper, turn it back to the front, make it a happy paper. Color that police officer and his canine dog. Remember, one crayon out at a time. Stay inside the lines. Color up and down or side to side in one direction. Police officers are helpers wherever they may stand. They tell us when to stop by holding up their hands. You see, some police officers, they work on the highways, making sure people do not speed. Some police officers work at schools. They help direct the traffic. So when a police officer says stop, don't go by holding up their hand, we need to make sure that we are following the directions carefully of the police officer. They are there to help us. One thing that you can do for the police officer, as you're coloring, I don't even have to hear you. In your brain right now, you can already be thanking God for police officers. You can be praying for police officers. You could be asking God to give the police officers wisdom to do their job. For the rest of this lesson, we will continue to color our police officer, and we're going to color his canine dog. That is also a police officer. We're going to think about that police officer and how his job is to help protect our community. How can we help our police officers? By obeying the laws, by making sure we're following the directions that we are given. Let's pray for our police officers, that God would watch over them, that God would keep them safe, that God would help them to do their job. So let's finish our paper, continue coloring. Students watching, make sure that you're coloring. And even now, without talking out loud, you can thank God for those police officers that we have.